what we're going to be having here. But back into champion selection here. Kind of know what to expect here. Sorlag, Nyx, and Anarchy is the assumption, but we have seen players kind of deviate here and there. So Sorlag and Slash, and Nyx, and then Sorlag, Galena, and oh, Ranger. Looks like VDMK is completely changing things up.
It's always nice to see players kind of go away from tradition, break tradition every now and again, because it kind of allows players to sort of play the game the way they want to approach it. But I think just having a match where things just get mixed up, you know, and it opens up the potential for different play styles. Will it work out? I guess it remains to be seen. We'll soon find out. I mean, Sorlag gets picked almost every single time for good reasons. He's pretty much at this stage a must pick. But to be honest, we're in this moment now, and we are moments away from finding out whether this champion composition is going to do the trick. Really excited to check out some more NA Quake. We haven't seen a lot from these guys. So with Dreamhack being another tournament that really brings the world together, especially in a LAN environment. You know, we saw that at the Quake World Championships, and we're going to be seeing it again in Denver, and we're going to be seeing it again at Dreamhack Winter, which is today's qualifier. And just the fact that we have loads of other regions that have their own qualifications too, like certain parts of the world that we didn't really get to see much in the QWC
it's going to be
besides
a global
BYOC.
representation for sure, right? It's going to be scenes from all over are going to be there, going to be supported. But going into this match, winners semi action. So the winner of this is going to get through to the next round, where they will then play for a guaranteed spot at Dreamhack Winter. But going into this first round, first of 3 rounds, best of 3 maps, I should say, first of 2 maps. Let's see who can come up stronger here.
Now going in with Slash first as an answer to Sorlag, it's one of the most common starts to sort of count this champion. Unfortunately, before I could even finish my sentence, didn't quite work out right there.
Right, that's unfortunate first life, I think, with Griffin. Looking very close to maybe lose his second champion here. VDMK immediately follows up with it. And that is 2 very swift frags on the board for VDMK. Unfortunately, Griffin just having a very slow start, and 40 seconds in has already almost lost the first round.
I'll tell you, every time you see what could be a 1-minute round, it's always round 1 of the map. Like, these players, they need to shake it off a little bit. You know, it takes them a while, some of these players a while to get going.
That slow acceleration, but VDMK starting off with that Sorlag pick, doing so much work all day, and I assume will do so for quite some time yet. Actually baiting at this railgun. Is he going to try and wait, or just pick it up himself? He has it. He has the holy trinity of Quake, the railgun, the LG, and the rocket launcher. Trying to protect. Griffin manages to secure himself the mega health, but still back down here.
I do like that wall jump to make his movement a little bit more unpredictable, seeing as he had to get the mega, really. Or at least he had decided that at that moment he needed mega, so he tried to be a little bit more unpredictable to hit in that situation. But I mean, he's got to be careful now. Popping the Ghost Walk just to undo the damage. VDMK himself, very weak. Heavy armor going to be up any second now, so he's going to secure that for himself. VDMK still very low. It's going to take him a while to bring himself back up to full. Well, that is going to be a nice little breath of fresh air for Griffin, because, you know, VDMK, yes, he didn't get fragged, but he was weak enough that he couldn't really risk pressing the advantage. And that one time VDMK had where he was really weak and couldn't fight allowed Griffin to get back into the action, because now he's got heavy armor, now he's got the mega health. He can make a comeback here. We've seen Nyx comebacks made all day.
He could, but it looks like VDMK is really baiting.
Oh, he's laying his trap, and Griffin does not know he's there either.
Actually, it looks like VDMK opted to go down right as Griffin went around the corner, so I think...
Isaac, Uzag.
Yeah, exactly. Just narrowly slipping each other there that time. So this round would be over immediately. It looks like VDMK really has slowed things down now. All trying to bait at this mega health, but again, Griffin's going to collect it. Griffin really has, I suppose, the dominance on the mega and the heavy so far. Still, only has those 3 weapons, but that's really all he kind of needs. Ghost Walk is down, so if VDMK can catch him over the next couple of seconds, he'll be a lot better off. But
I actually quite like the fact that Griffin, he opted not to go for a rail there. I don't think he wanted to give VDMK that data that he's at that location. He kind of wanted to almost take the heavy armor a bit more unchallenged. The heavy armor is how he's going to stay in the fight.
Yeah, VDMK is kind of just conceding these pickups at the moment. What if he's just trying to...
2 minutes on the clock. I feel like that's why.
Could be running for the clock. Oh, but taken out from max range rails like that. That could be... Oh, hang on a minute! Just like that, he's going down. If he loses Galena here, he will be in a lot of trouble.
That's that spawn manipulation. Oh, quite get the rail. That could have been a very simple way to cause a turnaround.
But to be honest, VDMK got such a huge lead by being really aggressive immediately. Like, right as Griffin wasn't expecting him to be, he just sort of turned up and took 2 frags out. But as soon as he started being a lot more defensive and sort of, you know, playing the, not the runaway game as such, but was being a lot more careful, that was when Griffin was able to maybe turn the tables a bit. Almost like not really sticking to what was working.
Here we go. Ooh, oh, tried to score the telefrag. Didn't even need it.
But VDMK didn't turn around either. I guess he didn't hear him reappear. And just like that, Griffin on the verge of making a full comeback in this first round with Nyx.
Oh, VDMK's going to gun it straight for the armor, but because that spawn, no doubt he's going to have an LG in hand. And he puts it to good use. Yeah, Griffin whoops. I do actually wonder if that was an intentional fall down right there. Probably not, so especially into a ranger that was just waiting.
It was costly and was on the verge of making such an impressive comeback, but was just snuffed at that last moment thanks to a last-minute error. But such as Quake, single mistakes can be punished phenomenally hard. It looks like Griffin's starting off with Nyx.
I mean, if you're Sorlag and you spawn right next to LG and an uncontested heavy armor, like, that's a perfect start. Make a little bit of noise. We did see in the last round, actually, Griffin opted not to take a rail shot because I don't think he wanted to give VDMK that data about where he was. And I feel like in that instance, it's quite a similar thing.
Looks like Griffin is content to very much just sort of sit up there at that exact spot. He's sort of being rushed here. He has a nail gun. Not really going to compete with that. Mega health being picked up by VDMK, and now we can see Griffin massively down on life and armor. So VDMK is going to go in for this sort of... Oh, wow! Doesn't even need to go in. Makes the most of that range with that rail. Going to get that shot, and now Griffin put on this Sorlag.
Once fresh off the spawn, he's gunned it straight for the LG.
Oh, he's in the air. This could be really bad for Griffin. Will be. VDMK will take his Sorlag down immediately with a bunch of acid and an LG. That's that big burst damage. Uh-oh, this could be bad. Yeah, now with a slash, trying to get away, has the speed, but doesn't have a lot of health.
But once more, he's not been fragged, but it has allowed VDMK to just control those major items that Griffin would really sort of need to control to stay in this fight. He's unbelievably weak. He has minimal weapons. He's going in towards that heavy, which might help him, especially if he's going to dodge rails like that. That's definitely a good way to stay in the fight.
Still though, VDMK getting any form of armor is going to be great here. Still going to have that natural health lead over Slash. He has an idea where he's going to be. Ooh, didn't quite connect there. Rail just missing too.
I mean, if you're going to be missing rails and taking damage, it's a win for the opponent. And Mega immediately seized by Griffin again. I mean, it's going to be a little bit easier for Slash to sort of navigate around the map.
Now, what happened here last time was it was almost like a mirror situation. Only it's going to be it was Nyx left alive last time for Slash. So VDMK took those first 2 frags by being very aggressive, by chasing the kills, knowing he had the advantage to push, I suppose. And then as soon as Griffin was left with 1 champion, VDMK completely swapped up and seemed to play away for almost a time limit, trying to go for that champion timeout win. Do you think he'll do the same thing again? Because he very nearly lost that round because he was like not being as aggressive, so Griffin wasn't feeling as pressured, I think, in those situations. But looks like he's actually going in for a skill here instead of running away. I think he's content to stick with it. Griffin, we expect him to run, but he's going to get the heavy armor, so that's a good trade for VDMK.
I think that's why Griffin didn't dedicate. There's no way he was going to get that heavy armor. And if he stayed there, then Sorlag was just going to out-sustain him. So I think it was a good call to sort of get out of there, take the damage for what it was, and then just get out of there with your life, you know, stay alive.
But here comes the mega health. Been picked up already. There's VDMK definitely would have heard it be picked up, so he's going to know it's gone. Heavy armor going to be soon to follow. I wonder if we're going to have a fight down here, or if Griffin's going to kind of just concede this.
History's repeating itself, because we pointed out a sort of defensive style from VDMK in the first round when there was 3 minutes down. There was 2 minutes left. So this was where VDMK almost lost it for himself, but was able to recover.
Well, the key word was almost lost it, but
oh, yeah.
Didn't actually. Forced to run away. Damage over time ticking away. Griffin's going to have to try and pick up something
up
there.
No. This just became very difficult. I mean, he's just got the mega health. Griffin is unbelievably weak right here. He is now stuck in a very unfavorable position. If Griffin survives this, it's going to be a miracle. Nah, not today.
That was very unlikely, and that's going to be a 1 champion sweep for VDMK. And again, that time was being aggressive, was looking for the fight. Instead of just weakening Griffin and then just sort of looking to run away and reset things, he was actually willing to go in and finish off that kill. And taking that second round looking really good for him. Going into round 3, and Griffin starting with Sorlag now, trying to start with all 3 champions to try and see what works the most. And
Another good start for VDMK. Fresh off the rail, it's now got the LG in heavy. We saw this in the last round, and it was a recipe for disaster on the receiving end for Griffin.
Oh, wow, who's waiting at the jump pad but wasn't ready for the teleporter. Jumps down. This is a bad situation. VDMK still going to do a lot of damage here. Griffin just trying to run and build that space, I think.
I mean, he knows he can't fight, but I don't think he's quite ready for him to be... I don't think he was ready for VDMK to be directly behind him right there. He'd gone in for the assets bit a little bit too little too late. He's been consistently losing his first champion early, and I think that's a humongous problem because it immediately puts Griffin on the back foot. It means he's now the one that needs to make something happen. He can't afford to be patient.
Well, unfortunately, it hasn't really mattered what champion he's put first, because this now means that VDMK has managed to defeat that first champion in that one-on-one setting every single time, no matter who he's starting with now. So even if we go into the next map, VDMK, he's going to know that he is confident going into whatever champion that Griffin wants to throw at. Although that's the assumption.
Oh!
He's going to win this, and with plays like that, he might just be able to... Oh, my lord! Shoots! Only the face was showing, and the face will do.
Spiky hair, soon trimmed off. I mean, that was crazy. Very confident as well. I mean, like, he just stayed there, did the self-damage as well in a situation where he knows his opponent's kind of just peppering down fire. But I think he did not want to let Griffin get away with that Mega. He did not want to give him that chance to come back.
Oh, misses all the asset, though. Could be in danger here. 25 health left to go.
But he's going to be confident. He's going to dedicate again. But I do wonder if we're going to see a frag come from this.
This is quite dangerous.
Oh,
right
almost.
Took the shot, but missed it. Oh, but not going to miss that one. Has a rocket. VDMK going for that teleporter there. Trying to go for that spawn, but already respawned. Now VDMK going in for the Galena instead.
I feel like it's very important that Griffin is standing his ground in these situations. Like he can't allow himself to be just bullied the way VDMK is clearly trying to sort of keep him at bay throughout this entire round. The worst thing about being behind is feeling like you're behind, because that puts so much more stress on you when these comebacks have to be made. But in this round, I mean, the comeback, it still needs to happen. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 straight rounds.
It is still possible, though. Just about across the halfway point of the round. That means there is plenty of time to still be able to bring this one back, but I'll have to wait and see. I've said the same thing a couple of times now, and unfortunately, Griffin just cannot quite close out that final frag, and especially in that last round. The first time seemed like a bit of more of a Griffin's mistake as opposed to VDMK sort of, you know, I suppose outplaying in that situation, but the last round was completely different. Like, VDMK was just in control the entire time. Going in and throwing that health totem down, trying to get the mega health, but the mega health still being about 3 seconds away from spawning. Just going to take the heavy armor instead. I think they're just going to trade that out, health for armor. But this is still potentially match point life for VDMK. It's up 2 rounds. They needed just one more frag to take this first map, and that's going to be a big sigh of relief, I think, considering the winner of this match ends up going to the next stage where they will play for the qualifying position, winner side, for Dreamhack Winter.
Well, of course, this is
a very important match. This is a very important match to take, and being able to take that first map just to relieve and alleviate. Like that. Oh, do that immediately. Try and take some of that stress off. But Griffin, 2 health, barely left alive. Heavy armor wall. I mean, it's not going to do too much if you only have 2 health. He's going to have to get some pickups, and soon. I mean, VDMK isn't really anywhere near to finish him off. So he's going to get some health back, and his armor's going to start doing its job a bit more now.
The issue with this kind of playstyle versus Galena is it's kind of difficult to keep her pressured in any way, because at any moment she can decide to use that totem to undo a lot of work that you're going to try and put in there.
Where am I?
Very easy for Galena to sort of just give herself that 50 health on command.
Well, the Ghost Walk has been used aggressively. He can get a fight. This could be what he needs, but he's using a lot of health with this lightning gun, trying to run away. Is he getting chased? He is, with the super shotgun. Oh no! Gets the armor, but isn't going to help. Too low on health. And now, just like that, Griffin finds himself again 1 frag away from making a full comeback. 30 seconds away from the end of the round, too, potentially, or at least overtime.
The important thing here is that the timer is no longer a factor. You know, so Griffin he's not able to play a little bit more loose by any means, but the stress of, right, I am on a time limit to get this frag, that is no longer the case. So he can focus entirely on...
amazing prediction rockets though for Griffin.
Oh, and then an amazing rail as well.
Wow.
He can finish this one off. Oh, he tries to dedicate towards the die roll, but somehow is still alive. VDMK, he can still win this. Griffin does not dedicate. I mean, that was an all or nothing decision. And he opted to keep the sudden death and take the fight later. Oh,
that one rail missing is huge though. Given a big opportunity for
he gets direct! But he's still so weak. And he gets the LG at the last minute. I mean, any one of those fights could have been disaster for Griffin, but I love the confidence, and I love just how well he was able to sustain in those situations.
But that's a really good round win for Griffin, because that's what he started to do last time. That's what he started to do in the first round. The only reason he lost it is because he basically made a mistake and landed down. He was put in a position that he didn't really want to be in. In fact, he was actually able to make the full comeback this time. I think is going to mean volumes of his confidence going through. Griffin still finding himself quite weak.
You know, considering he was caught on that jump pad, he took minimal damage. I know part of that was that VDMK likely didn't have an LG because we're fresh off the spawn, but still, that was quite fortunate that he took very little of the acid spits. And now he can opt to use his acid spit aggressively, knowing that VDMK has not got his available. He's going to get this mega health right off the respawn too. And there we go, he's pretty much reset it straight back. Full health once more. And he get one good rocket.
He doesn't have any armor, but that's a lot of health to have, but will still drop the kill. That's going to be a good 1v1 for VDMK. I think the big difference there was Griffin just had pure... Oh, hang on, he's going full speed ahead with the gauntlet. Oh, Griffin's going to pay for it. I don't know about that decision, but Griffin, I mean, you got to respect the confidence to respawn, put the gauntlet out, and then immediately try and get that kill.
There is a possibility that that respawn into immediate gauntlet was a result of he'd hit so many rockets against VDMK in that previous fight. He must have expected that he had done more damage than he'd actually done. Oh, he reappeared.
But he's not getting rockets yet. Taking a lot of damage, and there we go. Griffin is able to get that 1v1. VDMK, he made the read on where he was going to reappear, but unfortunately just wasn't able to land those hits. It's going to be quite difficult. Oh, Griffin.
It's quite interesting, actually, having a 1 versus 1 left when we're 1 minute and a half in, and that was a 1 minute and a half round.
Wow.
Explosive indeed.
And that's actually brought us back to 2-2. This is, I suppose, as back and forth as it gets now. 1 round away.
And this is map 1, so this is a good lead to take.
I mean, I thought this was going to be a map going all the way of VDMK, to be honest. I mean, those first 2 rounds were quite dominant. Griffin was making quite a number of mistakes, but it seems that whenever Griffin gets on that Nyx really seems to be his comfort zone. He seems very dangerous.
Everyone seems to have that one champion that they could just make miracles happen with.
Griffin's just making comeback after comeback with Nyx, and it's genuinely impressive. He needs to sort of maintain it now. After doing all that work to get this map back to 2-2 rounds. To lose this round would be, I mean, a bit of a knock to the confidence, right? Doing all that work just to lose the map anyway.
Griffin has been able to save his acid spit just like last time. VDMK, yes, he's going to get access to heavy armor, but last time VDMK sort of preemptively using that spit was why he lost the fight. And Griffin's kept his again. VDMK has not been in the same position in this round, so he has got that.
Indeed. By now, we'd already had a couple of frags last round, but being a bit more slow-paced now, I think both players realizing that they have to be careful. Genuinely surprised that missed.
I mean, that must have just been...
That must have missed by a hair's length.
A millimeter away. And he tries to take the fight, but VDMK standing his ground.
That's also one of those best-case scenario frags, because he also got mega health and heavy armor on the back of it. This is good.
And he's still got his acid spit, too. This is very unfortunate. And is he going to chase? I mean, he's completely content chasing this one down.
He tried to read the direction Griffin went in, but went left, should have gone right. The old classic.
Izig, Uzag.
Of course, but still, he knows that Ghostwalker's going to be down. We can see Griffin hasn't got a lot of armor, but... Oh, that was a nice mid-air shot from Griffin just to get him back away.
That was actually a nice way to tell someone to slow down, good sir.
Back off. Oh, and again. And doing all that mega health. The heavy armor getting picked up immediately, taking him straight up to 100 armor, 150 health. This is once again a very tanky Sorlag to deal with.
Yeah, no matter how many rails he's hitting, VDMK is still sort of not being deterred from controlling these major power-ups.
So though VDMK does have time on his side, 2 minutes. I would say only 3 minutes left to go, but not too much time, considering if he's confident he can escape for that long, but it depends if he wants to. And the mega health's been picked up, so the heavy armor will follow soon.
In mid-air once more, but once more he can't stop him from collecting the heavy. So no matter how much damage he's doing, VDMK remains in the lead. Because the issue is he's
strategy now. Maybe he just wants to make sure that Griffin won't have the health to get this frag.
But the problem Griffin is going to face right here is he's doing a great job of at least keeping VDMK from being like maximum overstacked with health and armor. The problem he's facing is that even if VDMK is being forced to retreat in these situations, I think he's content to do that because he is remaining healthier and more ready for a fight, and he's got the champion advantage.
He did just give up mega health in favor of getting heavy armor, so maybe he doesn't even want to control them both. He just wants to make sure that Griffin can't get both himself. In fact, he's taking that natural health ball, I suppose, maybe trying to take an advantage of that instead.
As long as he remains on max health, I mean, 150, that's still double Nyx.
But this has seemingly been VDMK's strategy in every round that he's won so far, though. When he has the champion limit, all of a sudden, all of his aggression just disappears.
Doing this against Sorlag, I think, is a great strategy, because when the timer is against you and you're forced to be more aggressive or faster paced than you would probably like to be if the timer wasn't an element, you're forced to rush around corners or to make these plays because you haven't got time to think about it, or maybe the game doesn't even let you calculate what you want to do. The second you walk around a corner hastily, Sorlag's right there and you get melted down.
But even things like this, look, VDMK, he's not even moving at this point. He's just standing still, trying to hide himself behind a wall.
Because the longer the clock goes down, the more pressured you're going to be to make something happen.
Well, he also would have heard 100% that Griffin picked up the mega health. Does he concede the heavy armor too? I mean, surely he wants to at least control that.
I mean, 1 minute warning. He's got 55 seconds and no sign of even finding him just yet. And the second he finds him, he's got acid spit. He's going to force the ghost walk. I mean, if he gets one good rocket and forces the ghost walk beforehand, like right now, if he can force the ghost walk like now before using the spit, now he's in huge trouble. Just like that. Doesn't even need it.
I actually really like the way he's playing this. Ever since like 2 minutes in, he has been sticking to the strategy of, okay, right, I've got the lead immediately. I'm playing carefully now, playing very defensively, but Griffin had no choice there. Went in, tried to do his best to even things up, but just couldn't do it in the end. I mean, he kind of had no choice but to throw himself in at the end, to be honest. I mean, it was too far down on champions. Time was no longer a factor for him. He just had to try desperately to get the frag and ultimately couldn't do it. But that's what happens when you have that lead and you get that early lead. Your reward is to be able to dictate how you want to play the rest of the match. If your opponent is getting frustrated and you know that and you're forcefully playing very defensively, then you put them in that position that they're not playing comfortably anymore.
And pretty much a major issue was in the last minute. As I kind of said, you know, the longer the time goes on, the more pressured you are into making, not a mistake as such, but to make something happen because the game doesn't give you enough time. You sort of run around a corner because you've got no choice. Sorlag's right there and you're dead. And at the last minute, you know, you got a bunch of good rockets, did a bunch of good damage, forced the ghost walk out, still had the spit. Even if he re-emerged there, he had what could have been a guaranteed kill at that range.
So, observing how that last map went, it looks like immediately Griffin has gone to choose Corrupted Keep as the next map, also we've been told. So, I mean, the best thing about Corrupted Keep for this kind of thing is if VDMK is content to play that sort of a defensive game where you're trying to hide and play out and stall for time, it is very difficult to do that on Corrupted Keep.
It's pretty much a given that we're going to see a different strategy and a change of pace because Corrupted Keep pretty much is guaranteed to do that. But it was a slightly different champion lineup that intrigues me the most because gameplay-wise, it's been similar to what we've seen all day, where it's just been picking a moment, seizing a kill, taking that lead, and if the time is in your side, use it. If not, just try and continue that rampage. However, Corrupted Keep, will we see the same thing, or will we see some more interesting champion lineups? Will we see Galena come back?
It's hard to say. Because even though both players have kind of experimented a little bit and deviated away from the sort of tried and true three we've seen to a degree, I know obviously Griffin was going with at least the Nyx and the Sorlag, it was the Nyx from Griffin that did the most work, and VDMK Sorlag was probably his most powerful champion. So even though they have lineups that are different to what we normally see picked, they still have one or two of those core champions, which are the ones that are doing the most work. So even though the lineup is different, it is ultimately still the same champions that are winning those rounds, if you know what I mean. And I think that's kind of been the biggest deciding factor here. Whether we see them, because I think Galena will be a bit of still a good choice on Corrupted Keep, because we've seen that she can be very powerful if you know what you're doing with her in the situation. Sorlag is a given, really, just tremendously powerful on Corrupted Keep, and I'd be surprised if both players didn't pick her again. However, the Ranger, not too sure. I guess we'll see.
We didn't really get to see much of it. Didn't really get to see a huge amount of the Ranger, but we're loading up now, going into our champion select, Corrupted Keep. Sorlag first. I mean, shock horror there. Who's next? Anarchy. Here we go. Griffin bringing out a bit more of the traditional.
I mean, we know that Griffin is now one map down. There are still winners' side of this, but the question is, do they want to maintain? So from the side of Griffin, it's going to be that tried and true, as always, Sorlag, Nyx, Anarchy trio, which is the the composition that we've seen the most by far, and VDMK sticking to his guns somewhat, but swapping out the Galena with the Nyx, it seems. So some of the same, and still a little bit of flair coming out of VDMK, but he is currently up in maps at the moment, so he has that sort of breathing room to try things like that still, especially if he won the first map.
But what's exciting about Corrupted Keep, I think, is that it does truly force you to just tackle not only the game mode, but the game itself a little bit differently. There are just certain things that you're not able to use. And Rail is just, it's one of the more obvious things, but it's the map size. It's the fact that even though it's a small map, there's a lot of little twists and turns that you can make. Anarchy being a very sort of popular choice because of that. But then on the flip side, Galena being a popular choice because of those little sort of, I guess, I'm trying to find the word. Mischievous. The word for some reason has fallen me. Sneaky totems. There's a word similar to that I was going to use, but it is long gone. But either way, locations where, if there's an Anarchy or someone else of a similar nature that's going to run around and be irritating playing hit and run, those totems will deal with it. But obviously that's a conversation for another time. Galena is not in this match. What we are going to see is a very traditional Sorlag start.
All right, we're going into this first round. We know that VDMK is going to have the luxury of being able to play defensively the same way we saw before, but he was, I suppose, historically still already strong at getting that first frag regardless in the map. Whether that will remain true now, I guess we'll find out very soon as we go into this first round. Oh, bit of a mistake. Fumbles his jump, lands in the armor. Hot-footing it a little bit. Dip the toe in the lava and pay the price. Ouch. Oh, oh. Now the nail gun is, I think, a deceivingly effective weapon on Corrupted Keep. We actually see quite a lot of it used for that sort of zoning attempt, is to try and keep people away from certain areas, sort of zone them away from certain doorways or weapons.
Well, spam a teleporter, right? That's like one of the main uses.
Or like this. Try and control the Mega Health a little bit from a distance, even though Griffin was able to pick it up. Take a little bit of damage at least.
Trying to grasp a little bit of information right here. So like she's quite a noisy champion in the game when she's jumping around there.
We know Griffin's going to be back to the wall at least here.
But I think this is the first start for VDMK, actually both using the super nails, so having to sort of dodge and juke a little bit of each. They actually sort of traded a little bit back and forth quite nicely. Just taking the damage and going in for the heavy. Griffin, yeah, he's confident.
Those could be dangerous. So he's definitely getting the better of the lightning gun trade, but did just eat a direct rocket. So he's going to have to be careful now. The Mega Health is going to be nowhere near being up yet.
And that direct was all he needed to just change the momentum and just force Griffin to run away. I mean, if that wasn't a direct and that was, maybe 50 or less, I have no doubt Griffin would have stuck to that fight.
But upon immediately seeing that Griffin's put his back to the wall again, took out the nail gun straight away, but Griffin just get the Mega Health and get out of there.
Almost on the money with those super nails too.
Oh wow, I actually like the reactions there from Griffin seeing the nails and immediately stopping in his tracks.
Well, he's going to know that there's a fair amount of those nails left. So those sort of doorways, taking unnecessary damage is never going to be a good thing. I mean, we're halfway through this round already.
I say very reserved round one, I'll be honest. I expect this to be a lot more aggressive, but a lot of damage on the acid coming out of VDMK. I think at least 3 of those blobs connected on like direct contact. Griffin now put onto this Anarchy. Right at another one of those amazing situations where not only did he get the frag, but he also took the Mega Health and the heavy armor. He's chasing in, he's going for the frag.
Very nearly got a direct. I think it's just good awareness, forcing those fights, getting Griffin to use his champion ability, and that's going to be down for a huge amount of time now. Hitting him in the middle. A ton of nails too, just needs one more. Swapping to the LG just to make life a little bit easier. And it's that snowball effect.
Griffin put on that next, we've seen him make a lot of comebacks already. Running straight for the Mega Health there, no hesitation, just trying to get it guaranteed and confirmed for himself. Going to do just that. Took a lot of damage in the process, but at least another pickup as a rocket. They'll still have the Ghost Walk popped with very little health left at all.
There's no way Griffin's going to chase that down. He just can't get that elevation. I feel like immediately on the spawn when Griffin kind of gunned it for that Mega. I mean, you understand it. Yeah, he had no choice. He had to get something going. You can't allow VDMK to just extend his lead.
VDMK is going to know that he hasn't got Ghost Walk. We can see solo. Mega Health picked up just in the nick of time. That Mega Health has saved Griffin twice now. Managing that pickup super well.
I don't know what it is about Nyx, but the second Griffin gets forced onto his last champion, which is almost always Nyx, he just seems to just turn it up a notch. A lot of confidence, he understands that he needs to make something happen, but at the same time, he can't allow himself to just be pushed behind, to be kept behind.
Speaking of which, though, the 1 minute warning, we might actually see a timeout and corrupt keep. That's not what we expected to see. We might at this rate. Considering another, it looks like VDMK has that Nyx lying in wait, so even if he does lose Solar now, he has that strategy. You can delay your respawn as long as the game will physically let you respawn, go for Ghost Walk, and that in itself is going to heat up a lot of time.
And that's going to waste about 10 seconds.
Maybe not quite that long, but still, near enough. A respectable amount of seconds at the very least. That's where it says 30 seconds. Realistically, there might be 20.
But here we go.
He might lose Sorlag here, but if he goes to the follow, he risks dying in the process. He has no choice but to be careful. He has no choice but to be as reserved as possible. Okay, now, he has the frag here, but what VDMK could do is delay the respawn.
But he's getting a good read on the respawn. We're going to see. Goes in for the Nyx. He's going to delay it as long as possible.
He's waiting as long as he can. He doesn't want to... There we go. Oh. I mean, he read the respawn, but that Ghost Walk, 2 seconds left. That's it. And that is the strat. If you have Nyx lying in wait on your team, you can do exactly that. Delay the respawn as long as you physically can. Respawn, immediately Ghost Walk, and you're invisible for the duration of its time.
One of the hidden strengths. People never really thought to do that day one, but as this game has progressed, these little detail tricks you can do using just the game's mechanics against you.
And to be fair, like Griffin even tried to catch him on respawn, trying to go for that spawn manipulation, knowing he's going to delay. And that would have been a comeback. And it would have been the Ghost Walk, making you immune to damage. That's one of its many uses. It's one of the reasons Nyx is so powerful. She's such a versatile champion. With Ghost Walk having lots of applications.
I mean, I think the nature of how Ghost Walk works, it can't not be versatile. Just the nature of it. Invisibility, invulnerability for a set time. Telefrags as well. I mean, that's a minor detail, but a detail nonetheless.
Enough for it to be a relevant thing.
Oh yeah. Griffin has been behind ever since he caught that start and he was forced to retreat with the Ghost Walk. VDMK, he has been sort of just commanding the pace. Kind of just goes where he wants to go. He can kill, not risk-free as such, but if he encounters a fight, he's got more than enough health and armor to do it, and he knows. He can just sort of just easily run around this map and go where he wants to be.
Still, though, I think VDMK is really playing this map at a much slower pace than we've seen before. Really content just playing that long game, playing for the time. Not even just for the timeout, but willing to take 5 minutes to get one frag, even if he, if he feels it will take five minutes to win the round, he'll take 5 minutes to win the round. Clearly, it's giving him the edge here. Slick's a little bit more used to playing in this kind of speed. But because he's either like... It seems like VDMK, almost this entire series so far, literally even going back to Winners of Sanath, he's either been in the lead or tying. So he's always had the ability to dictate the speed in which the match is played, because he's always in the lead or at least tying. So because he's never on the back foot, Griffin is never really in control of how VDMK plays.
That's very true, because one of the adaptations Griffin has made is because his Nyx has been putting in so much work, he has gone for her first. So I wonder if that's going to give him an edge. The danger will be because Nyx kind of seems to be his star champion so far. If he loses her, then he's in trouble, I think. Chasing it down with the LG, but VDMK still got a lot of armor and it's going to save his skin.
Alive by 7 health. That is tragic for Griffin. All that work immediately undone. He's going in for the follow-up anyway. He's going to miss a few rockets though. VDMK,
oh no!
One though. One direct is all it took. That is the danger of rushing an opponent as Anarchy on spawn. When you haven't got armor, all you have is a rocket launcher. You are weak to direct hits. One direct will kill Anarchy with no armor, and that's what he got. I mean, just a couple, but all it took was one well-placed rocket.
Going in for the LG, doesn't really take any of the acid spit, and just a fantastic trail of LG. Is going to finish that one. It's a match point for VDMK.
1 round to go. After all this, I mean, this map choice, I can see why Griffin went for it, but ultimately VDMK is just looking at next level comfortable at the moment. Again, Griffin going in for that Nyx pick at the start. I mean, he only just lost that 1v1 right at the beginning.
This is not a favourable beginning. I think he's actually going in with the super shotgun, probably banking on either a telefrag or a point blank for the 120, but he's not able to get either. That is a horrendous start for poor old Griffin.
Yeah, I think that decision at the start there to use that Ghost Walk aggressively, I mean, because VDMK was clearly ready for him to do it. And getting it back to back.
That's a good trade. That trade is in his favour.
I mean, they just spat on each other, and now they're both dead. That would be a lesson. Don't spit, it's rude. You might die.
But fresh off the spawn, because the acid was still available, he put a foot in it.
Yeah, I didn't realize it would still linger.
I mean, they respawned quite quickly. It's totally possible.
They did, but VDMK very much in the lead. If he gets this frag, he'll be moving on to the next round, where he'll then play for his chance to qualify for Dreamhack Winter. This is a very important life for VDMK, and so close. Griffin has no health left whatsoever, but picking up a couple of small healths just to top himself back up as much as possible.
But they're both near the small healths, so they are going to be able to sort of undo a lot of that damage. They're going to trade off that Mega for the Heavy, as we expected.
But in a comparison to how the rounds have gone so far, we were a minute into this, and there were already 3 of the 6 champions already dead.
We did see a 1.5 round earlier. Oh, looked for the direct, but that air movement from Griffin. Hang on a minute, you can't call him out.
Yeah, it might not
this
be
could
over
be
yet.
the comeback he needs. He's going in for that Nyx now, though, so once more he's going to comeback mechanic. But wait a second, if Griffin can stick to him here and get a good read. Oh, not quite! What a turnaround. He's still in the fight.
That was really well played by Griffin. That full comeback with Anarchy from start to finish. And I actually think it's weird how we've spent so much of the series so far talking about how Griffin's Nyx is like clearly his most comfortable champion, and when he loses it, maybe he's in trouble. But VDMK's Sorlag has kind of been the same deal, it seems. Only because he's so rarely lost his Sorlag, we haven't really seen him have to play without it.
We haven't really seen VDMK on the back foot either, so.
Indeed. Still though, we still aren't technically seeing that as he is up in rounds, but still showing signs of life from Griffin. We thought he was going to be out for sure, but still content on fighting back.
We were very worried when we saw Griffin sort of pile into that fight, all or nothing with that teleport into shotgun. It just didn't work, but able to survive, you know, stay mentally composed enough that he can remain active. Our players could potentially crumble under the pressure of, right, I've just lost my favorite champion, or what could be a favorite champion. And that's it, you know. So many players might, in their brains, go, that's game over. But just never give up.
Damage, though. Doesn't have the ghost walk. If he can get this frag, it'll be crucial, and he will. Much more of a clean kill that time. VDMK starting to dominate, has plenty of health and armor left at the end.
Now that's a key factor. Take the LG away from Griffin. I mean, he ignored everything else. He knew he was going to respawn around this area, and the second he used that teleporter, there was no LG to take.
And he picked up the Mega Health in the process, and all it's going to take is a little bit to top himself back up, and now Griffin is on this Anarchy again, but VDMK, plenty of health to work with.
I mean, one direct and it's game over. He's standing in the acid, he's got the heavy armor, but I don't know if it's going to save him. He gets the super shotgun, but he is unbelievably weak right now.
He is. The Mega Health not going to be up for another 10 seconds, though. If he can kill Griffin now, he'll be in a much better situation. Going for that rocket. Mega Health's going to be up any second.
That's all he needs to finish off an Anarchy with this health. I know he's back up to regular, but... Oh, misses the direct. Hang on.
Did get the Mega Health in the process, though.
Still in the fight. Goes in for the Dire Orb, and that's all she wrote. Respectable damage from the Dire Orb, and then he just finishes the job with the rocket launcher. A very Quake 1 finish.
Clean finish as well, though, VDMK, after dropping that round. I mean, we saw a lot of comebacks. I think, you know, it really is props to Griffin there, because Griffin just made round after round after round with comeback after comeback.
And that was winners too, so Griffin is still in this tournament. So if he's playing that well and loses, he'll still be okay in there to sort of try and move on in this bracket.
So even though it was good for Griffin to play so well from the back foot, ultimately he did fall, and it's going to be VDMK that will advance through to the winners final, I believe, of NA, where he's going to be finding his opponent very soon.
And you mentioned the opponent. I've just been informed our next match, Dewey versus Galasak, which would have meant that Galasak would have defeated Sane in winners too, so we'll be seeing Sane potentially in the lower bracket later on. But our next match is going to be really important for these NA guys to determine who's going to play for that next match, and that next match will be determining who's going to make it actually into Dreamhack Winter from the North American side. So while we get our next match underway, we're going to go for a quick break.